Welcome back to Echo Base Network, guys. I am Nick, and today we are hitting some Alan Ritchson news. I know he's been in the news lately with some crazy comments, some Trump comments, some cop comments. We'll get into it, but he's also blasting the MCU. He says, and I quote, "I sit back and yawn at Marvel movies, regurgitation comic book stories." Marvel is in an absolute mess, and everybody sees it. The article goes on to say, Reacher actor Alan Ritchson blasts Marvel and has no intention of playing a character in the MCU anytime soon. While Richardson recently said he wouldn't mind tackling DC's Batman, and I actually like him. I think he would play a good Batman. I wouldn't mind seeing him as Batman. And while the actor looks more like the Hulk, Marvel's definitely isn't happening. Later speaking with GQ magazine, he says, like everybody else, I sit back and yawn at Marvel movies, regurgitation comic book stories that we've seen 1,000 times because they're the only way studios feel like they can make money, and they're losing money. Actually, I want to be a solution. I want to do something about it. He added, so I'm using every bit of leverage that I have to create new, compelling stories. That's my mission. And that's actually a pretty good image right there. Again, I wouldn't mind seeing him as an iteration of Batman. I think he would do a good job. Probably wouldn't need to bulk up as much, but you know, a bulked up Batman, like not too bulked up, I'd be down for it. I wouldn't mind seeing it. I'm not a fan of his comments, his with the cops and Trump and Christians and all that sort of stuff. But as far as I try to separate the actors from the art of the characters they're playing. Speaking of the cop comments that he made, he actually issued a statement after being called out by a cop union. On April 16th, Alan Richardson issued a lengthy statement on his Instagram after being called out by the cop union National Fraternal Order of Police on their social media handles. The matter began on April 13th when the union called Alan Richardson a useless Hollywood actor who was virtue signaling for attention at the expense of brave police officers. This came after the actor's comments during an interview with the Hollywood Reporter earlier this month, where he said, cops get away with murder all the time, and the fact that we can't really hold them accountable for their improprieties is disturbing to me. And I kind of get where he's coming from. I watch a lot of cop videos and people that there's a lot of bad cops out there. There's a lot of cops that get away with a lot of things. Basically, cops have a lot of power that the citizens don't have. And I think it should be the other way around personally. But I kind of understand what he's saying to a certain extent, but I think he takes it a little bit too far in his comment talking about that they get away with murder. I don't think he literally meant murder. I think he just said that they get away with a lot. And, to be fair, they do. In a lot of internal affairs, a lot of the cops and the chiefs, they investigate their own, and it's swept under the rug, or they might get fired and then they get hired on with another department somewhere else. Very rarely do we see cops actually being held accountable, or law enforcement in general, government in general. The ruling class, very rarely takes accountability and is punished for anything wrong that they do. But that's a whole nother topic and a whole nother story. It goes on to say, this kind of emotionally immature response is the epitome of what concerns me about law enforcement today. If this is how leadership handles a peaceful disagreement, what does life look like for those unseen interactions in the street? And then, of course, here is the response. That the police union released. Well, Mr. Richardson gets his face and forehead powdered on set. Officers are out doing a job he doesn't have the courage to do. Well, he gets to hear loud pops and have blanks fired at him. Our officers feel the heat of the bullets as they pierce their skin. There are no two takes or take threes in real life, Mr. Richardson. We have people who want to kill us, and we play for keeps. Very, very true. Very true. Just another useless Hollywood actor, virtually looking for attention at the expense of brave police officers around this country. Go back to your pampered life and let the heroes handle this. Recently, Alan Ritchson was asked by his interviewer, Chris Gardner, about his viral summer 2020 t shirt that said, "Arrest the cops that killed Breonna Taylor," the image of which recently resurfaced online. In response, the Blue Mountain State actor noted, "That was a tragic case. We should completely reform the way we do it. I mean, you shouldn't have to spend more time getting an education as a hairstylist than as a cop who's armed with a deadly weapon. We should make it very hard for people to make mistakes or abuse power in our institutions." And with that right there, I actually agree there. I actually absolutely agree that cops should be trained more on the rights of the citizens, the rights of the people, because they break people's rights all the time. There's tons of YouTube videos out there. You can see it happening every day. And the citizens, they are gullible. They don't know any better. So they freely give up their rights. And the cops know this and they use it against them. That's why when they read you your Miranda rights, they say, anything you say can and will be used against you. Like the cops aren't your friends when they're trying to bust you for something. He also added that the fact that police often get away with murder and can't be held accountable is disturbing to him. 10 days later, national, and we read that. He went on. Richardson continued by saying how he knew that there were many good and brave cops who had his gratitude, but that doesn't mean that rogue or ill-equipped officers do not exist or that they are always held accountable for their improprieties. Again, true. I can't really argue that point. Both can be and are true. To only seek praise and ignore this need is extremely unwise and endangers those at risk of being ostracized and marginalized, which is who I was referring to in my Hollywood Reporter article he added. And that's basically the end of it. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of topics that, politics, religion, and as an actor, being a public figure, this kind of stuff, for me personally, if I was in that position, I would probably just keep my mouth shut about, most controversial things and wouldn't even let my opinion be known, because you're always going to upset one side or the other. You're not going to be able to make everybody happy, but you want everybody to come watch your movies, come watch your TV shows, all that sort of thing. So I would really honestly just keep my mouth shut. He probably should have kept his mouth shut, even though I understand and agree with some of what he said. At the end of the day, he's a public figure who's an actor who's trying to make product to sell to people, you know. And when you piss a bunch of people off, then they don't come and buy your product, watch your product, or whatever. So you got to be careful there when you're in that kind of position. But anyways, guys, let me know your thoughts on Alan Richardson in the MCU and Alan Richardson in this whole cop comment stuff. What are your thoughts on it? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. As we always say here, we are, you are, Echo Based Network. Till the next one, guys, we'll see y'all later.